involved in looking at safety features and be in contact with the police and whatnot. So there's a broad range of mechanisms we can put in place. And not to belabor the point, I'm not sure that listening to executives that say, look, we don't feel safe and we need more and more resources coming to our building to basically obliterate or get rid of people lying in the hallways and things like that. I agree. We should have resources going in there, but at the end of the day, we have to look at how many resources do we have and how do we allocate them properly.
Sounds like this is an item that we should bring back, so we'll look at the best way to actually do that, because I think you generate a lot of interest. Wayne, did you want to say something? Or,
sorry, I just wanted to comment. The actual number of individuals we have assigned to security has actually declined. So going back to 2004 with this community gardening, I think there was 170 plus individuals that were there. So we actually only have 102 special constables. We have deployed private security as part of this, and I think to you, Madam Chair, what we're looking at is a realignment of our deployment. We've had conversations with Toronto Police to understand how they're going to do the Way Forward project, and we want to leverage what they're taking away from that exercise to actually strengthen our approach in our communities to get back to community policing focus. So that's something that we're working on currently.
so this is a top priority for this committee. We'll keep on it, and I think we had an approval of F and G.
No, not G.
Oh, sorry, G, we didn't? Okay. F and G. Did you have a comment on G?
Actually, I have a question. Okay, yes, so the question is regarding the City of Toronto's new rent-safe TO apartment building standards program. We have never had that conversation at this committee, and I think I'd like a better understanding of how that impacts us as a landlord, whether there's risks, costs, impact of TCH to comply with that new requirement, whatever that is. So I don't know if you could bring back a report
Yeah,
next
Sheila,
year.
I think Sheila was
Sure, if I could just, by way of overview,
Yeah.
the MLS department has waived any inspection costs for Toronto community housing. So there are no additional costs, and we are working through a process with them to register as is required by all buildings across the city. And we have an excellent working relationship with the MLS unit. We continue to work with them. We're complying with the new bylaw, making the modifications to register as required.
Sorry, just a supplemental, and I don't know what those requirements are as a landlord, and you may know them. And also the number of buildings that are impacted at Toronto Community Housing. Presumably it's not all of our buildings. So what number of buildings are impacted?
Somewhere in the order of 340 to 360.
Oh, that's all, 2,200.
Correct.
Thank you. And if you have any other questions, we could bring them offline. So we'll look for approval for G. Oh, Councilor Ward? Yeah.
Sorry, I've kind of been quiet in this, but I do have a question on F.
Okay. We're going back, yeah?
Sorry, and I'll be quick. So page 2 of the report, when you look at direct managed versus contract managed, and then percentage closed within 5 business days, contracted at is 55%, and then in-house is 72. What are we doing to work on this numbers for contract and managed?
Graham's going to jump in.
Thank you for your question. Thank you for your question, Councillor Ford. I know you have a number of contract managed buildings specifically in your constituency. At the highest level, we've already engaged with the contract providers. You may recall that last May, we transitioned to a new provider specifically in the western part of the city. And with that became some unique issues around inherited outstanding work orders from the previous provider. So there's 3 different phases of management with the new provider. One is to make the outstanding work orders digestible by prioritizing them and getting at those, while still trying to increase the percentage of new work orders that are being managed. To that end, we've asked the provider to give us a business recovery plan to try to increase these service levels before the end of the year. We actually asked for that back in September. They've just been working through it. There's currently about 1,700 outstanding work orders in that portfolio alone. The second issue is that we did note that the staff in the portfolio were not compliant with the administration. That is to say that several of the new work orders were being done within 5 business days, but they were not being closed compliant with our process, so they were kind of breaking the measurement. We think that the staff have been corrected on this, and we're expecting to see a bit of an uptake in this number. So that's to say that it's not entirely representative of this service.
Right, and so thank you, Graham, and I appreciate how proactive you've been to date on this and addressing these concerns. When do we believe that we will be up to date and be closing the outstanding work from Ainsworth?
The current business recovery plan, we're looking to have them up to date by February of next year. And that's only because we are still trying to get to the outstanding work orders, which is the primary impediment. So right now, they have been told that they have until the end of February to recover on the new service levels entirely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on that. I'd like to move us forward because we've got a number of items.
My apologies, Madam Chair. At one point, we had a supervisor that was responsible for all contract managed buildings. Does that position still exist? And if not, who's the go-to person for people who live in contract managed properties?
So we've actually looked at the contract managed unit and are looking at ways to improve service delivery. So part of what we went through in evaluating the contract managed performance, we identified that we had some concerns for how it was being managed. We brought forward a business case which is now moving forward, and we're posting for a position, an asset management position to lead in that area. Until such time as that's taken care of, Graham and I have both been intimately involved with the contract management portfolio to help us get to that point.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Great. So we're going to move on to the reports from our office of the Commissioner for Housing and Equity. And we've got the terms of reference, the work plan, and the performance report. And we are not going to actually approve the terms of reference today because we actually have one more loop that we have to go through with a consultation with the city on that. But I think it is actually worthwhile to actually go through some of the changes that were suggested. It is actually, I think this was timely as well because many of us were not actually on the board when the office was created. It's important to actually be reminded of what the mandate is for the commissioner and our team. Do you want to make any comments in terms of some of the changes, Cynthia?
Sure. So what this was is when it was created initially, the terms of reference, there was a working committee. Councillor DeGiorgio chaired the committee, Catherine Wilkinson sat on the committee, the director of the city manager's office and the general manager of shelter, sport and housing sat on the committee. Ishmael sat on the committee and I did. And we went through a fairly comprehensive process, multiple face-to-face meetings, and the board ultimately approved the terms of reference. This was initiated actually by the city. So that's the quick background. Just to make clear that those terms of reference said that in December 2016 we should look at it. Graham and I had a conversation with some others at that time. There was no need to make any amendments. This year I wanted to do just a little housekeeping. So as you referred to earlier, we now know that tenants prefer to be referred to as tenants. So I wanted to change that language. We wanted to increase the font to 14 font because Kathy Birch and our PAF have requested that. We wanted to indicate that it's a new committee that we report to, the Office of the Commissioner. And we essentially wanted to add a bit of information such as the office has been extended 5 years, whereas the first one refers to an initial 3-year term. So because of that, because it's basically housekeeping, with no change. I still wanted to ensure a great consultation, but we don't need the level of consultation we would need for greater changes. So I contacted everyone from the original working group, and if someone new is in place, such as Mr. Raftis versus Mr. Abrahams, gave them the opportunity to make points. I also consulted with the new CEO, Wayne Todd Graham and Angela, and gave everyone the opportunity to give input into these minor changes. There were a few recommendations for minor language changes from the city in particular. And prior to finalizing this, there was a teleconference with the city with about 5 people, including people from Paul Raftis' team. So the turnaround was very fast. I think the turnaround was about 6 weeks. So for transparency and for anyone in the audience who wants to look at it, I've included both the copy with the changes included and then a clean copy for review. So I don't know, my only question would be, I have been informed, thank you Linda, that the city has a question about this. I'm hoping maybe, Ishmael, do you know how we're going to go forward in reworking or making these additional changes and getting that input?
I'm going to reach out to them to get more details on what their concerns are. I don't have all of the details at this point, and as soon as I have that, we're hoping to have that brought back to you and bring back this report for the January RSC meeting.
So depending on the nature of those, we may want to constitute the working committee and look at that again, or if it's minor, then it won't be necessary. So I think we just need to keep that in mind for time and planning.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And from this committee, if there is actually any